Hey, what up, s'mores? I'm Shannon Morse. Welcome to my YouTube channel all about travel and technology. And today I have a camera comparison for you. And this one is covering the OnePlus 7T, the OnePlus 7 Pro, and the Pixel 3 XL. I have a lot of photos and videos to cover, so I'm going to try to make this video as quick as possible, but before I get into the camera comparison, I did want to thank some of my new patrons and my Buy Me a Coffee followers. So shout out to David, who supports me over on patreon.com/Shannon Morse, and shout out to Ray, Joe James Cat, and Dana for the support on Buy Me a Coffee, which is buymeacoffee.com/snubs. At least I think that's what the link is. Also, I wanted to announce the winner of the poster from my Winchester Mystery House tour video, because I got an extra poster to give away for that. And that winner is Wayne Bakken, who said, "Looks fun. If you are ever in Minneapolis, Minnesota over Halloween, check out the Soap Factory. They have a safe word if you get too scared," which sounds very fun and also very scary. So I would love to check that out. I will have to remember that if I'm ever in the area during Halloween. So congratulations again, Wayne. Make sure that you send me your information so that I can ship out the poster to you via email. I'll give you the directions as a reply to your comment. Now it's time for the camera shootout. I have the three phones here. Here is the 7 Pro, the middle one is the 3 XL, and then we have the 7T, which is the newest one from OnePlus. As far as those specs go, the OnePlus 7T is $599, and it's got 3 lenses on the back. So first, on the left side, you have the ultra wide lens. This has a 117 degrees field of view wide lens. It's 16 megapixels at f2.2 aperture. The main lens is in the middle. That one is a 48 megapixel Sony lens with f1.6 aperture, and it also has OIS built in. That's optical image stabilization. The telephoto lens is on the right side, and that's a 12 megapixel camera with 2x optical zoom and f2.2 aperture. The OnePlus 7 Pro is $669. This one has a main camera of 48 megapixels as well. It's f1.6 with OIS and EIS built in. The telephoto lens is an 8 megapixel at f2.4, and the ultra wide lens is 16 megapixels at f2.2 with a 117 degrees field of view. So very, very similar specs when it comes to those two. The Pixel 3 XL is a little bit different. This one starts at $499 for the 3 and $599 for the XL version. They have gone down in price. So this one only has one lens on the back, and it's a 12.2 megapixel lens at f1.8. It's got a 76 degrees field of view with OIS and EIS built in. So the 7T has OIS built in for video. It has 1080p at 60 FPS. It can also do 4K at 60, and it has slow-mo 1080p at 240 FPS. The 7 Pro does 4K up to 60 FPS, 1080p up to 60, and slow-mo up to 1080p at 240 as well. The Pixel 3 XL has 4K at 30 FPS, 1080p up to 120, and slow-mo, I wasn't able to find the actual specs for that, but I'm going to assume it's around 1080p at 240 as well. So now that we have the specs of the cameras on these smartphones, as well as the pricing, since they are very, very close to each other now, let's go ahead and look at the photos and videos that I got, since I can compare them each side by side for you and show you what they look like. So we're going to start with the rear camera with the wide angle lens. Here we have the OnePlus 7 Pro and the OnePlus 7T. Just those two, because the Pixel 3 XL does not have a wide angle lens. You'll notice a lens flare on the 7T. Pay no attention to that. That's just based on how I was holding it. I mainly noticed the color difference between the two. Both of them were generally pretty clear. I felt like the 7T was a little bit more clear as far as the photo goes, as far as the textures, especially in the rocks. However, the 7T brought out a lot of the green in the water, and the 7 Pro seemed to bring out a lot of the blue, so it was a really, really blue photo. As far as the normal lens goes, I have one for each of the different cameras on this one. The 7 Pro and the 7T both brought out a lot of those blues, so it's very, very highly saturated. I also noticed that the boats, as well as the buildings on the left and the right, those seem to be pretty blown out, especially if they are white. while the Pixel did a lot better job of keeping the colors accurate, and it did not blow out the boats or the buildings in the background. With the zoom lens, the 7 Pro definitely blew out this photo. The 7T was definitely dark, but it did a really good job of keeping everything really clear. The Pixel, not so much. The Pixel camera was pretty grainy with this first zoom photo, especially with like those suspension lines that go to the sails on those sailboats. You can't really see them against the sky in the background, while the shot with the 7T was very clear as far as those ropes go. If I look at the final zoom photo between the three, none of them look really good. All of them were rather grainy, especially if you look at the concrete of the stairs. I feel like the 7 Pro and the 7T were trying to overcompensate, and it ended up bringing out texture that just wasn't there. But the Pixel was blurry, so I didn't really like any of those zoom photos. As far as panoramas go, all of them did a fairly accurate job. The Pixel photo did not have as much contrast, but it did a lot better job as far as stitching the picture together. With the 7T and the 7 Pro, you can see a line where the stitching wasn't necessarily completed correctly on either the left or the right, especially in the sky. I do like the colors in the 7 Pro around the water. I thought it really brought out the pretty colors of the water in this marina, so I think that was my favorite, even though the stitching kind of screwed up at the ends. When it comes to HDR, you can tell that the 7T and the 7 Pro are trying to blow out as much as they can of that color to make sure that things in the shadow are seen. Now, with that said, that SUV in the background, it's blown out. That white color is just way too bright. With the picture from the Pixel, check out the leaves up the top of the frame. Those are much more clear than the 7T and the 7 Pro, even though the shadows are a bit more darker, but the SUV in the background is also not blown out. On this picture of beer, the Pixel is definitely the winner here. Just look at the bubbles at the top of the beer. The bubbles in the picture with the Pixel are a lot more clear, while the 7 Pro and the 7T kind of blurred all of those bubbles together to just make this white line. My favorite of these close-up shots of the flower is definitely the one with the Pixel because it's very clear. You can see a lot of the detail in the flower, while the ones on the 7 Pro and the 7T, unfortunately, it just blew it out and it kind of blended some of those details together, so the flower is not as clear. Portrait mode on the Pixel definitely stands out compared to the 7 Pro and the 7T. With the Pixel, you can definitely see a defined edge of a very clear foreground compared to the very blurry or bokeh effect on the background. With the 7T and the 7 Pro, again, they were kind of just dissolving all of that detail within the flower. Of course, I did want to try macro on the 7 Pro, the 7T, and the Pixel just to see how close I could get, since they say on the 7T you can get 2.5 millimeters close to something and get really good detail. I felt like the detail was just not there. I wasn't very happy with it, so I can't say that I recommend using it for macro shots. As far as color consistency goes, when I was using this during dusk, so the sun was setting, the light was not that great. The 7 Pro and the 7T kind of brought out the orange in these pumpkins, while the Pixel tried to keep it a lot more accurate. It also did a good job of not blowing out everything behind these pumpkins as well. The obvious winner between the three pictures of the sunflower is definitely going to be the Pixel. The reason being is because if you zoom in, while each of them does have a little bit of grain, the Pixel is a lot more detailed. It brings out a lot more of the details in the sunflower. If you look at the seeds in the middle of the sunflower, you can kind of tell where each of them are, as opposed to the 7 Pro and the 7T pictures, which did not do such a good job. Night sight / night mode, or whatever you want to call it. This corn maze had a balcony so you could look over the entire corn maze. It was really cool. I did a vlog while I was there. That's going to be a separate video on this channel, but take a look at this picture. The 7 Pro and the 7T, not very clear when it comes to the corn maze. However, if you look at those photos, there's a big sign in the background. One of them says Petaluma and the other one says Parkwell Casino. I could actually read what it says on the 7T and the 7 Pro pictures. However, with the Pixel, it kind of just blew out the signage in the background, but the corn is a lot more clear in the picture from the Pixel 3 XL. Okay, so that's it for pictures on the rear camera. Now let's take a look at some video. So this is 3 different videos showing off the image stabilization on the 7 Pro, 7T, and the Pixel. All of these is taken at 4K, so you can kind of see see a difference. The Pixel definitely did a lot better job as far as the stabilization goes with that back camera. I was really satisfied with it. Now let's take a look at this HD video. So all three of these were done at 1080p. All three of them did a fairly good job when it comes to stabilization. The only difference I would say is the 17 and the 7 Pro look almost exactly the same, while the Pixel, if you look at that tree that's kind of in the foreground, it's a lot easier to see the leaves and the branches that are in shadow as compared to the 17 and the 7 Pro, which basically made that part of the tree black, so you can't see any definition between all the branches and leaves. At least with the Pixel, you can see that. Time lapses in all three of them were really fun. I thought all three of them did a fairly good job of doing time lapses, so nothing really to speak on there. When it comes to slow-mo, the Pixel had trouble focusing where I wanted it to focus. I wanted it to focus on the water and I just could not get it to do a slow-mo and focus on the water. I think you have a lot better chance of getting good slow-mos whenever the focus point is a lot closer to you, because when it was far away, it just could not focus. With the 7 Pro and the 7T, it did a very good job of focusing on the water and we had a really nice, good slow-mo there. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the front-facing cameras. The Pixel 3 XL actually has two different cameras on the front, while the 7T and the 7 Pro both have one camera on the front. The OnePlus 7T has a Sony 16 megapixel with EIS built in. This one is f2.0 aperture. It can do 1080p at 30 FPS video. The 7 Pro also has a Sony 16 megapixel camera with EIS built in, f2.0 aperture, and 1080p at 30 FPS video. The 3XL does 8 megapixels for both. This one has an f2.2 97 degree field of view wide angle lens, as well as a f1.8 aperture 75 degree field of view main lens, and that can do 1080p at 30 FPS video. Now let's take a look at some selfies, because everybody loves selfies. With portrait mode turned on, none of these did a very good job of bringing out the blue sky behind me, probably because the sun was also behind me, so it was very blown out. The 7 Pro is kind of interesting here. There's a bit of a strobe effect there with the blue compared to the white, so it tried to give you some definition there. In reality, it should have just been all blue, but that didn't happen, so that was kind of a weird effect that happened in that picture. When I turned around and I faced the sun and I stepped back into some shadow, I got a lot better pictures. So this is portrait mode for all three of them with HDR turned on. Each of them did a really good job of bringing out the blues in the sky. However, none of them did a very decent job of defining my hair against those poles that were in the background, because those poles were probably like 10 feet away from the back of my heels. So it should have done a better job of defining my hair against that, but hair is always going to be an issue with portrait mode on smartphones. At least right now it is. Also, I don't have an iPhone to test this on, but I know they do a really good job with portrait mode. I also tried turning off portrait mode and just getting regular photos with no blurry background going on, and they did a fairly good job. You'll notice that the Pixel is still a bit more accurate as far as the color representation goes. It is a little bit more dark. Now, I did have beauty mode turned on for these too, and you will notice that the 7T and the 7 Pro both kind of get rid of all of my freckles and anything that's happening on my face. The Pixel did a lot better job of keeping some of the freckles in my cheeks and my nose, while it did still make me look pretty decent, at least in this picture goes. If you want to see how wide angle these can get, here's your comparison. So the 7 Pro and the 7T do not have a wide angle lens on the back. However, this is the wide angle lens on the Pixel, so that gives you a nice little difference. Trying to take a picture on each of these at night with the widest angle that I could get with my arm outstretched. The wide angle on the Pixel obviously wins. The color representation on the Pixel is a little bit more accurate, however there's lots of shadows going on. The 7T did a pretty good job. I was pretty happy with the picture and the performance of this photo, even though you don't have that nice wide angle lens for group shots like we had here. 7 Pro did a terrible job when it comes to just night mode. It was just not there. The 7T just makes me look like I used flash, and that also does not look that great. The Pixel with night mode turned on is probably my favorite, not only because you can still see the corn maze behind me, but it also didn't make me look like I had flash turned on, so I like that one. And last but not least, I wanted to show you 3 different selfie cam videos so you can hear the audio between these of me speaking directly into the camera, as well as watching the image stabilization in the pictures. Now, while the Pixel one is definitely blown out compared to the 7T and the 7 Pro, I will say that I like the audio on the Pixel a lot more. In fact, even in the background, you can hear some piano playing, and that piano was probably 200 feet away from me, so it was pretty far. So the microphone definitely picks up like everything around you. Not so great if you're trying to podcast, which is why I never vlog on my Pixel, but if you're trying to get some scenic audio clarity, then it definitely works. So go ahead and take a listen. Hey guys, this is me testing the front-facing camera to see how the audio and video looks with optical image stabilization as well as electronic image stabilization. Hey guys, this is me testing the audio and video for this smartphone with the optical image stabilization and electronic image stabilization while I'm walking. This is on the OnePlus 7T. Hey guys, this is a video of me walking and talking to see how the audio sounds on this phone and to test the optical and electronic image stabilization. Alright, so that was my camera comparison of these 3 smartphones. So let me know what you think below and which one was your favorite and which one you liked the most. As I get other smartphones in, I will definitely be doing other camera comparisons, and I'm hoping that I can get other smartphones in for a review because I really like doing camera comparisons. It's really, really fun to get them just side by side and take a bunch of photos and share them with you. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like content like this, and comment below, and again, let me know which one was your favorite. Thank you so much to everybody who contributes to my Patreon as well. If you aren't on Patreon yet, that's where you can get access to my high-res travel photography, Google Hangouts every month, physical reward packages that I send out to people, all sorts of goodies. So definitely check it out. The link is down below. That's patreon.com/Shannon Morse. Thank you again to my s'mores for watching. I'm Shannon Morse, and I will see you next time. Bye!